Gabriel Martinez and his 5 friends, Emily, Michael, Sarah, David, and Jessica, were avid hikers who loved exploring the great outdoors. They had embarked on numerous adventurous trips together, but little did they know that their next hiking expedition would be their most terrifying one yet. They had planned a weekend camping trip deep in the heart of the secluded Pinnacrist Forest. The group arrived at their chosen campsite, a picturesque clearing surrounded by towering trees. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows over the rugged terrain. As night fell, the campfire crackled, casting flickering shadows on the surrounding trees. The atmosphere was filled with excitement and anticipation as they settled into their individual tents. However, their peaceful night under the stars soon took a chilling turn. Sometime after midnight, Gabriel was jolted awake by a peculiar sound. It was a low, guttural growl that echoed through the forest. His heart raced, and he strained his ears to listen more closely. The sound was accompanied by eerie whispers, like voices carried by the wind. Fear gripped Gabriel as he realized that everyone else in the camp must have heard the noises too. He mustered the courage to unzip his tent and peek outside. The forest was cloaked in darkness, and an ominous silence hung heavy in the air. Gabriel called out to his friends, but their fearful whispers were the only response he received. Unable to sleep, Gabriel spent the rest of the night crouched inside his tent, his mind racing with thoughts of what could be lurking outside. The night seemed endless, filled with inexplicable noises that echoed through the trees. As the first rays of dawn peeked over the horizon, a sense of relief washed over Gabriel. He emerged from his tent, cautiously surveying the campsite. What he discovered sent a chill down his spine. The ground was littered with lifeless bodies of birds, their feathers scattered in a macabre display. The once vibrant and lively creatures now lay motionless, their eyes glazed over. It was a grisly sight, one that filled the air with a sense of foreboding. Gabriel's heart sank as he realized that one of their group was missing. Panic consumed him as he desperately searched for Jessica, fearing the worst. The eerie silence was shattered by a blood-curdling scream from the depths of the forest. Following the sound, Gabriel and his friends stumbled upon a gruesome sight. There, hanging from a gnarled tree branch, was Jessica. Her lifeless body swayed gently in the breeze, her eyes closed in eternal darkness. A rope was tightly wound around her neck, leaving no doubt as to the cause of her demise. The shock and grief enveloped the group as they stared in disbelief at the tragic scene before them. The sense of terror intensified as they realized that they were not alone. They were being watched, stalked by an unseen presence that reveled in their fear. Determined to unravel the mystery and find answers, Gabriel and his remaining friends knew that their lives would never be the same again. Devastated by the loss of Jessica and gripped with fear, Gabriel and his friends decided to pack up their campsite and retreat from the ominous forest. They knew they had to find help and bring justice to their fallen friend. As they made their way back along the treacherous trail, a thick fog rolled in, engulfing the surroundings. Visibility diminished, and the atmosphere grew even more sinister. Every step felt heavier, as if the forest itself was trying to hold them back. The group stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin nestled deep within the trees. Desperate for refuge and answers, they cautiously approached the decaying structure. The door creaked open, revealing a chilling interior filled with dust-covered furniture and faded photographs. Amongst the photographs, one caught Gabriel's eye. It depicted a group of hikers who bore a striking resemblance to his own group, standing in the exact spot where they had camped the previous night. The date on the back of the photograph sent a shiver down his spine. It was taken 30 years ago. The realization struck Gabriel like a bolt of lightning. They were not the first group to experience the horrors of this forest. A dark history was buried within its depths, waiting to be unraveled. Driven by a mixture of fear and determination, Gabriel and his remaining friends embarked on a relentless quest to uncover the truth behind the haunting of Pinnacrist Forest. They delved into the archives of local newspapers, searching for any records of strange occurrences or disappearances. Their efforts unearthed a chilling story from 3 decades ago. A group of hikers had vanished without a trace in the very same forest. The only clue left behind was a single photograph discovered near the site of their camp, depicting their terrified faces. The group stumbled upon the legend of the forest's dark entity, an ancient spirit said to have been disturbed by human intrusion. It was believed that the entity fed on fear and despair, preying upon unsuspecting hikers who dared to venture into its domain. Armed with this knowledge, Gabriel and his friends devised a plan to confront the malevolent force. They gathered ancient artifacts and performed a ritual, hoping to appease the vengeful spirit and put an end to its reign of terror. With the ritual complete, the forest seemed to exhale a collective sigh. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the shadows that once plagued the woods began to recede. The evil entity, appeased by the offering, finally found peace, releasing its grip on the cursed forest. Gabriel and his friends, battered and scarred, emerged from the forest with a newfound appreciation for life. They had faced unimaginable horrors and survived. Jessica's memory stayed with them as a reminder of the price they had paid and the darkness they had overcome. News of their harrowing ordeal spread, and the Pinnacrist Forest gained a reputation as a place haunted by tragedy and the supernatural. Hikers and adventurers steered clear, heeding the warning of the forest's malevolent past. Gabriel and his friends, forever changed by their encounter, formed a bond that would withstand the test of time. They became advocates for hiker safety, sharing their story to prevent others from falling victim to the horrors of Pinnacrist Forest. As the years passed, the legend of the haunted forest lived on, whispered around campfires, and passed down through generations. And while the forest's secrets remained buried, Gabriel and his friends found solace in the knowledge that they had confronted darkness head-on and emerged with their spirits unbroken. Dan stood at the trailhead, his hiking backpack snugly fitted on his shoulders. The crisp morning air filled his lungs as he gazed at the towering trees that loomed ahead. He was excited to embark on this adventure with his friends, Alex, Sarah, and Mark. They had meticulously planned the hike, choosing a remote and untouched trail in the heart of a dense forest. The group set off, their footsteps echoing through the silence of the woods. The path wound its way deeper into the wilderness, and the surroundings grew more captivating with every step. Nature's symphony of rustling leaves and chirping birds provided a soothing soundtrack to their journey. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they stumbled upon an abandoned campsite. Torn tents and scattered belongings hinted at a hasty departure. Intrigued, Dan approached the site cautiously, hoping to find a clue about its previous occupants. Just as he picked up a weathered journal, a shiver ran down his spine. It felt as though invisible eyes were watching him from the shadows. Ignoring the unsettling feeling, Dan called out to his friends, who were exploring nearby. Their enthusiasm for the hike had not waned despite the eerie discovery. They decided to continue along the trail, with the abandoned campsite a lingering mystery in the back of their minds. Hours passed, and fatigue started to set in. The group took a break near a babbling brook, refreshing themselves with the cool water. They exchanged stories and laughter, momentarily forgetting the uneasiness that hung in the air. Little did they know that their cheerful banter was soon to be shattered. As dusk settled upon the forest, the woods transformed into an ethereal realm, cloaked in shadows. The once comforting sounds of nature now seemed distorted, making Dan's heart race. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night. Panic spread through the group like wildfire. They scrambled to their feet, their eyes scanning the darkened surroundings for any sign of danger. Within moments, they realized that Sarah was missing. Fear gripped their hearts as they called out for her, their voices echoing through the silent forest. The only response was the haunting echo of their own voices. Frantically, they retraced their steps, searching for any trace of Sarah, but she seemed to have vanished without a trace. With heavy hearts, Dan, Alex and Mark pressed on, hoping against hope that Sarah would somehow find her way back to them. But deep down, they couldn't ignore the sinking feeling that something sinister lurked in the depths of the forest. The forest became an oppressive presence as Dan, Alex, and Mark continued their hike, their minds clouded with worry and grief. Every rustle in the underbrush, every shadow dancing among the trees, seemed to be a harbinger of danger. The group's once jubilant spirit had turned into a desperate fight for survival. As they trekked further into the heart of the forest, unease gnawed at their minds. It felt as though an invisible force was hurting them deeper, guiding them towards an unknown fate. Whispers of caution and fear passed between them, but they knew they had to push forward. Night fell once again, and the darkness seemed impenetrable. Their flashlights illuminated only a fraction of the surrounding landscape, leaving them vulnerable to the lurking dangers. They huddled together, seeking solace in each other's presence, finding fleeting comfort in their diminishing numbers. The forest seemed to conspire against them, obscuring the trail and distorting their sense of direction. With each passing moment, the fear intensified, and their trust in the once familiar surroundings eroded. They stumbled upon another abandoned campsite, eerily similar to the one they had encountered earlier. This time, fear paralyzed them, as the possibility of the same fate befalling them became all too real. An oppressive silence settled over the group as they dared not speak, fearing that their voices would attract the attention of whatever malevolence lay hidden within the forest. The trees whispered ancient secrets, and the wind carried ghostly echoes, heightening their terror. Suddenly, a faint cry broke the stillness of the night. It was Sarah's voice, feeble and desperate. A surge of hope coursed through Dan's veins as he led the others in the direction of her call. The forest seemed to resist their progress, its branches clawing at their faces and its roots tangling around their ankles. But their determination fueled their steps. Finally, they stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in an ethereal moonlight. Sarah stood at its center, her face etched with a mix of relief and horror. Before she could utter a word, a chilling wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing their flashlights. Darkness enveloped them, leaving them vulnerable and disoriented. In the pitch-black abyss, a sinister presence materialized. Unearthly whispers echoed around them, their voices cold and foreboding. The group huddled together, clinging to the last vestiges of hope, as the entity closed in on them. A deafening silence descended upon the forest, followed by a series of sickening thuds and agonized cries. One by one, Dan's friends were mercilessly silenced, their lives extinguished in an instant. He was left alone, surrounded by the chilling stillness of death. Fear and grief fueled Dan's fight for survival. He ran blindly through the forest, tripping over roots and crashing through thick underbrush. Desperation coursed through his veins, urging him to escape the clutches of the malevolent force that had claimed the lives of his friends. Hours turned into days as Dan traversed the seemingly endless expanse of the forest. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, exhaustion weighed him down, but the will to survive pushed him forward. Finally, he stumbled upon a park ranger's station, his body battered and his mind haunted. Dan's tale of horror was met with skepticism and disbelief. The forest he described held no records of the abandoned campsites or the sinister entity that stalked its depths. He was dismissed as delusional, left to carry the burden of his experiences alone. Years passed, but the memories of that fateful hike remained etched in Dan's mind. The forest had claimed the lives of his friends, leaving him scared and haunted. The truth of that night would forever remain a mystery, locked within the depths of the woods that had become his personal hell. As for the forest, it stood silent and indifferent, its secrets buried deep within its ancient heart, waiting for the next unsuspecting souls to venture into its dark embrace.